Oh, that's a big gulp, sir. That's a lot of water you just drank. Did you just throw that away?
I'm sorry.
Don't you even believe in the global warming?
I should have recycled.
You should have recycled.
I'm really, really sorry.
But believe it or not, maybe, and just maybe here, recycling is bad for the environment? Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of
Big Spoon.
Little Spoon. That's us. That's what you're here for right now.
Us too.
Yeah.
No
for
one
those
else.
for those who are new to the show,
that.
we take a random topic and we just talk about it. We do a little research and then we come back.
We do.
So, yeah, do you want to start this one?
Let's do it.
Okay,
So,
cool.
this was a cool topic, and this was submitted by. Was it just?
This is one of the original
This
topics.
is one of the originals.
Yeah.
And somehow it made it through, because most of these ones have been all submissions this volume.
Yeah.
So, recycling is bad. I didn't believe it when I saw this. I literally had to go and look up some things, and as it turns out, there might actually be some reason to think that it might actually not be so great.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I honestly didn't think I'd learn. Like, I didn't know what I'd learn from this.
Yeah.
And there are some things that, like, it delved deeper than I thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you out there who don't know, recycling is meant to help protect our environment.
Yeah.
Separate
your cans, your bottles.
Could you hold on one second?
What's
Do you
going on
see
here?
This? Look.
Oh no!
It's okay. See? And it's out of the shot.
Get it out of
Hi,
there.
everyone. Sorry, I know you didn't want to get that up close and personal with me. There we go. All good. It's all good.
So the laptop is actually at the moment until we could figure some things out. This is definitely going to be like our studio area, but right now it's sitting on top of a cat tree. So that's what you're seeing.
What do you call that? A cat tree?
A cat tree.
It's a scratching machine.
It's a scratching tree.
It's a tree to scratch out. All right, so.
Oh, you got a little document
I have
going
a
on
few.
there.
I have a few notes here because a lot of numbers being thrown around.
I like well-prepared documents.
So I started thinking about this topic before I even researched. So I'm going to admit, this is going to sound so weird. I'm not like a recycling guy.
Okay, that's okay.
So not that I don't recycle.
I do ask too. I was like, where do you put your recycling?
I do that. Whenever I go somewhere, I always ask, do you recycle? I don't care if you do or don't. I sound so horrible right now. I'm going to get a lot of hate mail for this. If you do,
we
please...
hate forks at Gmail.
We hate forks at gmail.com. If you do, tell me where to put this stuff, right? Where do I recycle stuff in your home? So when I have something, I typically am like, I don't think about, like, should I recycle this versus that and blah, blah, blah. But the way I started thinking about it is a lot of people will drink, like, your sugary beverages or your takeout dishes, whatever it is. There's recyclable plastics in there, but you're throwing this stuff away. It still has food and whatnot in it, especially if you ever go to, like, a Whole Foods, because Whole Foods is very, like, conscious about this stuff.
Yep.
Right? They have the recycling thing, like, here's where you've put your food containers and here's your garbage. But all the excess food and whatnot is still in that container. Like, there's no sink to wash it out or clean it or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that's what drives me nuts, because now you're getting mold, now you're contaminating the plastic itself.
Okay.
And then when you look in there, right, you don't just see plastic. Like, some people are like, screw it, and just threw whatever they wanted in there.
So, like, how do you get this out?
How do I get what out?
The food.
Well, if I'm at a place like Whole Foods, I just can't do it. There's nothing I can do.
Yes, but
right.
Here's the thing. So people go around and they collect cans. And so I actually saw something even before I knew this topic was coming out, was that there are certain bills. My dog's trying to be part of
I know. I hear her like
this
she's
right
up there.
yeah,
It's
I have
fine.
no-
We're
it's
good.
Probably the cat. And these bills say, okay, when you recycle cans, you're getting at least like 5 cents per can. So people, their jobs are literally just like they made their job going around town and picking up cans. You would think that they're homeless, but no, that's actually they can make a living off of it. Apparently.
We have a cat visitor.
Oh yeah, see, she made it.
Look at her go.
Olive. She's
Olive.
gonna jump up there and like poke her head.
Is she gonna scratch at this
No,
thing?
she won't. She won't. She better not.
Look, she's trying to figure out how to
Here,
go to the bathroom.
let's help her out.
She's gonna poop right in front of us.
Pause.
She's gonna poop right in front of us. Well, while he wrangles up a cat, I'm gonna rattle off a couple things that I read here. So, I'm not the only one who thinks about this. Apparently, this is a real problem. Hi, baby. Oh, you're coming to say hi to me. Oh, cute. Hi, Olive.
This is about recycling.
Yeah, not just cats. So apparently this is a big problem, is that cities don't have the capability of sorting out recyclables versus non-recyclables. So 25% of the things that end up in recycling bins should not actually be recycled. And a lot of plastics that are being made nowadays, because we're trying to make products that are easily disposable, they're not recyclable. They're plastic, but it's not a recyclable type of plastic, or it's some kind of mixture of different types of plastics that there's nothing you can do with it. But they end up in the recycling bin. Cities don't have a way to actually sort through this stuff.
So I thought that's what they did. I thought they would just sort through it. So it's just sitting.
I don't know what happens to it if it goes to a landfill or what.
So way to go! I'm
goes to,
paying
like,
extra for
recycling
my
bins.
recycling bin.
Yeah, there's so much coming in. It's absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, 25% of non-recyclables end up in a recycling bin, and so the cost of sorting through your recyclables is a lot for the city. You're paying for the labor. You're paying for this. You're just so cute and friendly. Hello, are you pooping? No, you're fine. You're fine. I'm just messing with you.
Dude, oh
Look, you can even
my
see her on the screen
gosh.
too for like a minute or so. So yeah, and then not only that, but it's when you are sorting through this thing, right? You have, like I said, there's some contaminants in there. You have workers actively going through this. It's hazardous to them too to be working with the contamination.
So, I'm sure that some places probably have mastered this, but what would it take to get this recycled? I'm thinking here, I'm recycling these, so maybe some recycled bottles I am using, and like the bottles I'm drinking out of could have been recycled plastic.
Yeah.
Really melt it down. But if they're just sitting there and not doing much, I'm a little nervous.
The problem is life's a lot more complicated now. So a lot of the recycling things in place right now really popped up, I want to say in like the 70s or 80s, where it was a little bit simpler. There wasn't... Plastics were plastics, and you didn't have like this combination of different things. It was more about winning people onto the side of, oh, let me actually recycle this instead of just throwing it away. And that was the big challenge. Now the challenge is most people are actively recycling, but they don't realize how to properly recycle.
Like clean it out before you put it in there.
Well, that's part of it too.
I'm kind of guilty of that.
Yeah.
Because like I do just well, actually no.
But
cans of tomato sauce, I do rinse that out.
You
like
should.
I do.
Yeah.
I don't take the label off, the paper label.
Yeah.
So that's probably something too.
A lot of it's just that our methods are outdated.
Yeah.
And instead of updating them, it's cheaper to just do it the way we've always been doing it. And it's, in some cases, look, now she's purring. This is adorable. In some cases, it's not great for the environment. So the EPA reported that 9% of plastic bags are recycled. And most plastics are not recyclable, but end up in the bin anyway. Only 9% of plastic bags are ever recycled. Think about that for a second. How many people go to a grocery store every day? Let's say a grocery store has 200, 300 people walk through stores every day. Each one takes home 3 bags. You're talking 900 plastic bags. 9% of that is 100 bags.
So, wow.
Is it? What's my math here? Hold on.
We gotta check this out.
Calculator, 900 times 0.09%. 81. Only 81 bags of those 900
Yeah.
are being recycled.
So there's at Redner's, which I shop around the corner, they actually
Don't mind the washing machine. It's a little loud. That's okay. The spin cycle will end soon. Let me see. Can we actually hear it?
you definitely can hear that.
It's like a nice, it's like a nice beat. It's fine. You're fine. You can hear us just fine.
We have a lot of laundry right now. So
There's a lot of. I
I'm in
peed
the
my
basement.
pants.
I'll make sure for future episodes that our laundry's done.
But anyway,
So, Redner's, I was talking about this.
Yeah.
Redner's, they say they have this big bin. You can bring all of your plastic bags with you
yeah.
to put them in there. I use our plastic bags.
Me too.
I mean, I have a dog, so like I'll take a plastic bag instead of buying those plastic bags.
Yeah.
That those are more plastic, right? I'll use
Well,
them.
those are supposed to be biodegradable.
Okay.
I don't think
we
all
might
of them
jump
are.
into that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still use that, and it's like you're going to use your trash bags as plastic too, so I can at least condense that down into a trash bag, which is going to go onto a landfill anyway.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe you just reuse them for other things would be fine, but you can actually gather all your plastic bags and then bring them to back to the store and put them in there, and then they find a way to
So
recycle
what
it.
I've found is that I do reuse my plastic bags, but then they're thrown away.
Yeah.
So, for example, I reuse them for doggy
Dog poo,
doo-doo.
Yeah.
I'm not going to keep that bag. Ever a doggy doo-doo has been inside the bag, I'm just going to throw it away.
Yeah.
I use it for little garbage bags in our bathrooms. I
Oh,
use
perfect.
those.
Yes, those work great.
Yeah, but then when I'm done, I throw them away.
Yes. But it's the same as if you're using a garbage bag. So you're not buying your extra garbage bags for these things that you could simply use.
So you're saying I'm being helpful by
I would
by
think
not
so.
using a garbage bag.
And maybe you can email me and be mad about the fact that I do that. But it's. I'm not saying it's like the better of two evils. Like that's not what I'm saying. But if stuff's gonna go that is plastic because they make plastic garbage bags to a landfill, wouldn't it be better to keep things as small and condensed as possible? Make less trash. Find a way to make less trash, then you save yourself a whole lot of trouble.
Well, the problem with make less trash
Yeah.
is that nowadays we live in a world where everything's disposable.
Yeah.
I mean, razors, you're throwing out razor blades every couple weeks. The flossers for teeth. That's just, I think about this because I use this product.
You're right, because I used to use
Is that going to be a
razor.
problem? There's
Olive.
a cat. There's a cat on the
cat.
scratching tree.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Oh
on the
no.
scratching tree. Olive, come here. Come love us.
Only because we're using it. I don't see her jumping on this thing ever, but
Yeah.
I moved it away from the wall. She's like, that's
All we need
different."
is like our camera and lighting equipment to just go blurp right in the floor. So, good kitty cat.
Olive, what do you think?
Tell us
think
about
we're-
the environment.
Yeah, do we recycle your kitty litter? No, we don't.
Look at her. She's just looking at me like, you got me off that post. I'm so mad. Yeah.
Wow.
Where were we at?
So
the plastic bags. The disposable things like
New York-
placards. Just what's
New York
up?
stopped the plastic bags. You pay
Yep.
a nickel for every bag that you use there.
Well, now there's no bags at all. We
Oh,
were
it's
at
done.
Wallbombs, or Wallbombs was bought by somebody. The one in Oakdale.
I know it was some.
Yeah, I
Fresh
don't.
Market.
I think best yet maybe Best Market.
Fresh
Oh, was it?
Market.
Fresh Market.
Best
Okay.
Market. Best Market.
Best Market. Yeah. So
Um,
look, it stopped.
Oh no! Wait.
Oh, there's more. Oh boy.
There's
Anyway,
more.
so here's my wife walking through the store, and she turns around immediately and says, "They don't have bags here." I'm like, what? Like, they don't have bags here. Luckily, we had a box in the car. Put all our groceries in the box, and then carried the box. It was awesome because I didn't have 400 bags. I had one box, everything fit in it. We don't buy that many groceries. It's just the two of us.
Aldi's like that. Aldi, you buy their reusable bags.
Like the tote bags.
Speaking of which, I'll be right back. Hold on a second.
Where are you going? You're going to get a tote
I
bag?
got something fancy.
Yeah, so when we were at the store, for those of you at home, we ended up thinking, shoot, should we run back and get tote bags? Like, how should we do this? And for some of us who don't think about those things, that's an actual struggle. Oh, you have that's a really nice, like, Wegmans bag.
Yeah, I actually bought these. It's funny that I don't use them
Cooler bags
as much
are
as
great.
I should, but I worked for that Instacart thing thinking, oh, this will help out. Because, like,
And does it?
Some places don't.
Oh, and you have a bag inside a bag. Bagception.
Bagception, yeah. And so I can definitely use these when I go shopping. And
Do
I have them
you?
in the basement since I did Instacart, and now I'm thinking, wow, I should use these.
Oh, you
all the time.
should use them. You don't use them.
You
now,
know what?
is you're
Okay,
saying.
so how about we do this? A part of a commitment to go green in this episode is what can we do differently?
Okay, so what can I do in my everyday life?
Yeah.
I can actually recycle plastic bags instead of
Yeah.
throwing them away.
Yeah, like use them for other things.
I can... Okay. So, in my building,
Yeah.
there is a recycling room.
Yeah. Where you put cans in and you go crunch.
You put...
and
Well, no, it's not that. That's pretty intense. No, it's just there's recycling bins to put stuff in.
yeah.
And so what I do is instead of carrying my giant box of recycling, I put it all in a garbage bag and I just go whoop and throw the garbage bag in. So I don't sort it.
Mm-hmm.
I put it in a plastic garbage bag which shouldn't be recycled, and then throw it in a thing that says cardboard only.
Oh.
So yes.
Okay.
So as part of this episode, I'll make an active pledge to sort my material.
Yeah.
And not use the garbage bag and not be lazy and carry it down in the box.
Yeah.
And to actually recycle those plastic bags that we don't end up using for something else.
There you go. Perfect. And I'm going to find out if I can do the same. I know that I'm different because I have a house where we rent our bins, but maybe if I take my recycling somewhere else. When I used to live in Percy, that was actually something that I can go do is go to the actual township, which was a borough, so it was smaller, but I went and took my recycling and sorted through it. I could put cans with cans, plastic with plastic.
Yeah.
So they definitely, and they had a cardboard container too. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right, so there's definitely some other things that we
There's
can do.
improvement.
And stuff that we already knew about.
So there's the other thing that I found that's really bad for the environment, and there are so many articles written about this, and you saw it too.
Oh,
is
yes.
the paper mills.
Oh, yeah.
So when paper's formed, right, paper's made from pulp, which is a mixture of a whole bunch of different fun stuff. And it's pressed together, that creates new sheets of paper. But there's leftover, like, sludge that ends up either being burned or dumped into a landfill, and there are absolutely no regulations for how to dispose of this sludge. And so that's one of the big problems right now with paper mills and with recycling paper is that they don't know what to do with the byproduct of recycling paper.
Yeah. And another thing, too, is making paper is everyone thinks, oh, you're cutting down so many trees because of it. But we're planting over 40% of any used trees on when we do that. So it's a renewable resource. You can plant more trees.
Yeah.
And there's places where they set it up where like you're going to cut down these trees, use them for paper while you're growing the other ones, and they go in different plots. So it's actually good because it's incentive to go out and just plant trees when you're using paper. When you send it off to a paper mill to recycle it, it's incentive to not plant as many trees. So less trees are being planted, more paper is being used, and then you send it off to these plants where you're using chemicals. And so that's where I was shocked to see, like, wow, like, what kind of backwards idea? Like, it would probably start out like, this is so great, but they didn't think about the chemical usage and what effect it would actually be to the paper market.
Yeah. So like I said, a lot of this stuff has been in place for a long time.
Yeah.
And we may not have realized the dangers, or maybe not the dangers or the repercussions of what we were doing until more recently. More studies have come out and everything else. I'm watching that cat. She's getting near the scratching tree.
I know.
She's getting close.
I know.
And
My
she's
eye
walking
has
away.
been
She's like a
on
shark.
her. Yep.
So it's not that, to sum up everything we're talking about here, it's not that recycling is bad for the environment.
Definitely recycle.
But
Recycle smart.
recycling practices need to be updated
Yeah.
to better help the environment.
I would love to figure out, like get on, like, a spreadsheet. Not now, obviously. But be able to see, like, how many different ways there are that we do recycle and look at the way that they do that.
Yeah.
And be like, what is it that can be fixed?
There's so much.
Simply like your
Even-
township being able to sort through like Percy did.
Well, even the trucks that they use to do this stuff are all... You're talking about big gas
diesel,
guzzling diesel trucks that are causing just as much harm.
Oh, so,
I know you want to talk about this.
oh my gosh. So that's perfect segue into this is electric cars. Prius. The Chevy Spark or whatever it is.
The Leaf.
The Leaf and Tesla. Those batteries are made to last for a long time. So it's thought, okay, you're buying a car, you're going to be good for the environment because it's only electric. But what goes into actually making these batteries and then making sure that they are recharged? I mean, for the most part, electric energy comes from fossil fuels, right? I mean, you're electric in your house. Maybe not in my area because we have the nuclear power plant out in Royersford, but...
Well, I think what you're getting at is that the factories that create these products...
That too,
It's not
yes.
the products themselves that are harmful to the environment.
But that's the
factories
overall umbrella
overseas
that I'm going
where
over.
there are no environmental regulations. We're looking at you, China.
China.
Among other countries. Those factories are causing environmental harm. And most computer products within a car only last for 2-3 years before they start having malfunctions. It's the cost of continuously rebuilding those things too.
So I spoke to a customer that I thought I'd love to. I'm going to do that in our research thing. That there are companies out there that go and when your battery dies, because they do say, for your battery to have any real impact on the environment, it'd have to be going for 5 years. At that point, your battery may be dying already.
Yeah.
So there are companies out there that actually take parts from those batteries from cars that were junked. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they open up the batteries, take them apart, and then they put in good parts whenever you need a new battery. They essentially would go to your house and open up your battery and put in everything else it needs to be able to recharge again.
What do they do with the old parts?
Once something is shot, it's shot, right? But
do they recycle it?
I'm assuming they might recycle those parts. I don't know that. I have to look it up. But all I know is that instead of junking a battery and getting a brand new battery where it took all that power just to make it, because you're shipping it on those shipping container ships and everything, all burning fossil fuels, they're taking parts that are still good from other batteries that would otherwise be junked, and then they put that in your car. So I'm going to take a look to see if I can find that on there.
Yeah.
Because I did have a customer talking about that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff like that. I had no idea. I didn't think about the batteries and whatnot on the electric cars until you brought it up. And then my mind started being like, oh my God, all the factories and the boats that have to come over here and the Exxon Valdez. I'm just throwing that one in there.
But in actuality, it's like they're taking this part to go over here so they could put this part on it so they could take it over here and put that part on it. Then they're going to assemble it and put it onto this so they can put it over here and put it in the car. And all these times it's just going all over the place. And the amount of time you actually get that battery is traveled almost like around the world twice.
So are you saying outsourcing is also bad for the environment?
Well, outsourcing definitely is a problem. I mean, how about this? Your flight travel. You're going back and forth from place to place. We're using planes that guzzle down jet fuel.
Yeah.
It's all part of this. How much of an impact is it? And I'm not saying that I'm like one side on saying we're destroying the environment. But I think there's definitely things that you could do to help limit the amount of emissions that we have out there.
There are plenty of people out there who claim to be for the environment and this and that and will do what they can, but will use a plane because they want to go on vacation to somewhere nice or a cell phone that might be made in a factory that has very few environmental regulations. You're still using those products and devices that are frankly causing just as much harm for the environment than, me throwing out only or recycling only 9% of plastic bags.
And in everyone's phone, there's actually a certain amount of gold that's in it. It's very minuscule, so it's not worth anything. But people will go through and recycle old phones by taking out components on it to use in other things because some of those components are still good. How many phones do you think actually get destroyed every day and they're thrown into the garbage just because they don't work anymore?
I'm just picturing somebody who's like, well, I got the new iPhone. Takes their old phone with a hammer and just, see ya.
No one else can use this ever again. But companies do say, okay, you're going to switch over to a new phone. You get a discount if you give us your old one.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, I think this is a good segue. Let's. You ready for a break? Let's do a little research.
Yeah, I'd like to see if I can find that.
Find some stuff.
Let's do it.
All right, friends, we'll be right back. You're watching Big Spoon,
Little Spoon.
Little Spoon.
Hi friends, I'm Nick Drago, host of Sports with Nick Drago. Are you looking for a podcast that's going to give you all the sports news and information and just have a lot of fun doing it? Well, this might be the one for you. Sports with Nick Drago. We're on every Sunday, and you can find us on Facebook, SoundCloud, Twitter, and the YouTube. Just type in Sports with Nick Drago. That's me. We'll talk all about some sports. We'll have a little fun, maybe some laughs. You know how it goes. You can find us wherever you like to listen to your podcasts.
All right, welcome back. We just did a little bit of some research as usual. I think we came up with some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
So we really like to keep learning about how to recycle things. So what did you find?
Okay, so first off, to the people of China, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to throw you guys out like that. Didn't mean to throw shade your way. Apparently, China has been shifting gears on recycling. So in the 90s up until like 2017, it was actually cheaper for the city of Los Angeles to send its waste to Asia than it was to send to recycling plants in the United States. In America. So, the number one export from the city of Los Angeles in 2017 was waste paper.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
But China has since switched gears, and now that's no longer a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's no longer as cheap to send it there, and China is apparently getting better with some of their recycling methods, which I think was something that you had found.
Yeah. So a lot of the batteries that we were talking about, I wasn't able to find like a specific one. There's definitely a lot out there that I found, and they're still like kind of based in more like the Western states, which is fine because they do have a lot more electric cars that are out there. So there is definitely a process to be able to recycle like the lithium from these lithium-ion batteries. It's very complex, so it does take a lot of effort, but there is the ability to recover 100% of that battery and use it in other parts.
Yeah.
So that's one big thing that, we don't think about, like what happens to these batteries afterwards. Like you junk a car, that car may be used for parts and sent everywhere else. What about that battery? So something that I did find on here, and one of them is from this website. Now, I don't see many things being cited as much, so I usually tend to get a little skeptical with that. But the Institute for Energy Research, which is .org for that one. And when you go on there, it does talk about how spent cars that are already done with their usage, when they have those batteries on there, about 70% of that power is, like the battery life, is still there. So some of these companies like Nissan, they actually are taking these batteries and putting them and powering like street lamps or other things. They're repurposing them. So it's like the battery second life that they call it.
That's pretty cool.
So that's probably another way that China's probably doing things as well. I know Nissan's a Japanese company, but like I would assume that when I'm seeing stuff on here, like a lot of them are leading the recycling of this battery energy life.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool, just because you don't know until you look out there that people are actually in the market to get these batteries and try and repurpose them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing I had found was I was looking at glass, which is something we didn't really talk about. Glass is recyclable. But the problem with recycling glass is that it's really heavy. So it's extra load on the trucks having to transport it to wherever it's got to be transported to. It's dangerous because it's sharp, so you have to be careful, picking it up and whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But the energy to take all of this, let's say, this giant bin of shattered glass, to turn it into, to get it ready to be reblown and turned into something new is more expensive than it would be to take sand and turn sand into glass and start from scratch.
So what happens with all that old glass?
They'd still spend the energy and money and whatnot doing it.
I was just thinking if it's more energy to do it.
And New York City has stopped collecting glass altogether, actually, because it's just too costly.
Yeah.
Other places, New York City and Philadelphia, what used to cost, I think at the time that all the current recycling practices were in place, they would save $67 a ton, $67 on every ton that was recycled. Nowadays, it costs the city $170 per ton to recycle. So it increased by $237 per ton.
Are you kidding? So why? I don't understand why all of a sudden it's
more expensive for trucks. It's more expensive to have these plants. You have to do more work to separate what is and isn't recyclable. All the things that we talked about. Recycling in its current state is costly
and outdated.
When in practice, when it works, it does a good job. You're taking the equivalent of, I think, 39 million cars off of the road every year in the United States. That's a huge reduction on greenhouse gases. But it could be better. We could be doing more.
Do you think this would happen? Because it would be about changing the way that we look at recycling, changing the ways that we even go about doing it. So they're using these old ways, and the fact is the old ways are now more expensive.
I think that it is what it is. I honestly don't know. Usually I'm one who's like, I have an answer for everything. I don't have an answer for this.
And usually sometimes there isn't.
Inflation's going to happen. No matter what they decide to do, those new practices are going to become expensive. It's at this point, I think it just is what it is. We have to pay the price to help save our environment or save our planet, which is really sad to think of.
We want to incentivize being able to save the environment.
Yeah. Or we start pumping all of our money into terraforming Mars, and we can screw up Mars. Or the moon. Or
and that's another story for another.
That would be a great episode.
Yeah, it would be.
Terraforming. All right,
Mars.
write that down.
Terraforming Mars.
Do you have a list going?
I do have a little bit of a list going.
Okay, great.
Kind of like some tidbits.
That's fine.
Sorry, I was just going to say, there are ways that people do change things. We saw it with the batteries, so that's a new thing going on. There was the person who, I think there was like some kid or something who developed a way to clean the air. Like being able to
clean the air,
like these things that would. No, but I'm talking about ways that like you can take the carbon monoxide out of the air or something. There's also the people who just developed that thing where you can clean the ocean of all the microplastics.
Yeah. So there are people smarter than us that are working on these things.
Yeah.
The question is do we have enough time and resources to make it happen before we do irreparable damage, irreparable damage to our planet? I don't know. We may have already gotten there, according to some, or we may have another 50, 30, 70, 200 years.
I think the thing to take a look at is like, well, we are here now, and no matter what happens, we shouldn't give up hope. We should just do what we can.
Yeah, do what we can.
It doesn't matter what the outcome is or isn't. It's just this is what is.
Yeah.
And we should always care.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I learned a lot today.
I did too.
Go ahead.
No.
I was
just going to say, let's just let's stick to our commitments.
Let's stick to some commitments.
We got some commitments we did in the beginning, so that was you're going to sort through some of those things that you have because we do have that ability to do that.
Yes.
I'm going to look at to see if I can do any of that sorting, but also I'm just going to keep reusing and using less plastic.
And
I have
recycle
those
your
bags.
plastic bags.
Recycle your
9%
plastic bags.
is too low.
Yeah, if you have a dog, I mean, like, that's pretty much it. Just, use it for dog poo, like, multiple times.
Don't use it for suitcases.
Yeah, fill
I'm looking
that
at
bag
you,
up with
teenagers
stuff.
and college students. All right, well, thanks for joining us again. Once again on the show. If you want to find us, we're on all our favorite podcasting apps: Stitcher, YouTube, we're on Podbean, and oh my gosh, iHeartRadio, Apple, and Google, and
we're all over the
stuff.
place. And you can find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Yep.
And also email us.
Yeah, we hate forks at gmail.com.
We hate forks
Our
at
Twitter
gmail.com.
handle is Big Little Spoon.
Yes.
You can find us on YouTube. Just type in Big Spoon, Little Spoon. And a special thanks, as usual, to Josh Woodward, who wrote the music for the show. It's called As I Am.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd like to hear more of his music, you can find a link to his website in the show notes below. Thanks, friends.
Yeah, it was
I had fun
good.
learning with you.
Yeah, and I love talking to you.
Yes.
Our voices just lulling you to sleep.
Don't fall asleep. Don't do that. Enjoy the show. All right, we're going to go. All right, we'll see you all next week. Thank you.
Bye.